Hey, what's going on, my fellow idiots? Welcome back for another episode of Idiot Proof Cooking. So I felt like making some bread today, and I wanted to try the no knead method. Now, normally when I make bread on the channel, I'm doing it in either my stand mixer or in my food processor, especially if I make like a pizza dough or something like that. But there is a method for making bread, which is, dare I say, the most idiot-proof way to do it. It's the no knead method, where you just mix everything together by hand or with like a wooden spoon until it just makes a shaggy dough, and then you let it ferment on the counter for 8 to 12 to 24 hours. And at the end of it, it's ready to be baked. Super, super simple. So let's try it for this video, shall we? Alright, are you ready for a really simple bread recipe? JP clearly isn't, as he's walking away. Alright, but let's start into this. We're going to start off with 3 cups of bread flour in a mixing bowl, and we're then going to add in 1.5 teaspoons of kosher salt, and then 3/4 of a teaspoon of dry active yeast. Give them all a good whisking together with your trusty whisk, and then just set that aside because we're going to add in our water now. We want 1.5 cups of warm water. I had mine heated to about 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're just going to pour the water in with everything else and then use a wooden spoon to mix this all together. It's going to take like 2 to 3 minutes to mix it into a shaggy dough. Really, all you're looking to do is form it until there is no dry flour left over and you have a shaggy ball of dough, much like this. As you can see, yeah, it takes like 2 to 3 minutes. Once that's done, just scrape all of the dough off of your wooden spoon, and then it's time to wrap this up and let it start fermenting. Now, as you can see here, this is the consistency you're going to have, a shaggy dough ball, and it's going to be pretty sticky. That's what you're looking for. So just cover the bowl with some plastic wrap, and then we're going to stick this on our counter to let it both ferment and rise. Now, the first time we're going to do it, it's going to be 4 hours on the countertop. It is super simple. Like I said, no kneading. So on the countertop for 4 hours, and then after 4 hours, we're going to do some stretch and folds. So here we go. Just take the plastic wrap off. Look at the dough. You can see it started to rise and it started to ferment. It smells awesome at this point in time. So with a wetted hand, what we're going to do is grab a piece of the dough and then give it a stretch and fold. So just grab the dough, stretch it upwards, and then fold it into the center of the dough ball. And we're going to do that 4 times, one for each kind of side of the dough. Stretch and fold it into the center, and then we're going to cover this back in plastic wrap and let it sit and ferment for another 4 hours on the countertop. After another 4 hours, we're going to give the dough ball one final set of stretch and folds. So with a wetted hand again, give the dough ball another 4 stretch and folds into the center, and then we're going to cover this back in plastic wrap. And it's a good time now to preheat your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit because we've got to heat up this large Dutch oven. So like I said, preheat your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to throw the Dutch oven into the oven for the next hour to heat up. While that's happening, get out a large piece of parchment paper, throw down some all-purpose flour on the bottom of it, and then we're just going to gently pull the dough ball out of our bowl, and we're just going to very gently coax it into a ball shape on the parchment paper. So as you can see here, I'm trying to be gentle with it to not deflate it too much, and then I'm just going to sprinkle some all-purpose flour on top of it because it's still a little bit sticky to work with. And then with my hands, I'm just going to tuck in the bottom of the dough ball, like tucking it underneath itself so that it forms a more perfect looking little dough ball. Look at that. It is quite nice looking at this point in time. All right, so then all we're going to do is cover the dough ball with our bowl that we were using to rise the dough in, and then let the dough rise for the next hour while the Dutch oven is heating up. After an hour, it's time to get ready to bake this. So I'm going to use my bread lame here, or you could just use a really sharp knife. We're going to score the dough somewhere down the middle of the dough. It can be a little bit off to the side, but after you've scored the dough, sprinkle a little bit of all-purpose flour on top, and then go get your super hot Dutch oven. Make sure you don't burn yourself. Look at it is piping hot, and we're just going to carefully drop the parchment paper with dough in the Dutch oven. Throw the lid on, and then bake this for the next half an hour covered, and then remove the lid lid and bake the dough for an additional 15 minutes uncovered until it comes out looking like that. Look at how beautiful that is. Oh man, that looks awesome. Alright, like everything we bake on the channel, we've got to let this cool down for the next hour and a half to 2 hours because it's piping hot. So after 2 hours or so, it's time to cut into this. Look at how beautiful it is. It's nice and crispy on the exterior, and let's cut it down the center so that you can see the inside of it. Oh man, it's still a little bit warm as you can see, and look at that crumb. That is gorgeous, gorgeous. Oh man, nice little pockets of air in there. It is perfect, not too dense and not too airy. That is an awesome looking crumb, and this is just, it smells so good. This bread smells so good. So I've cut myself off a piece here, and you know what, just to make this quick, I'm just gonna throw some jam on and try it that way. You know, this is a simple taste test. You know, there's probably better things you could do. You could make a grilled cheese out of this. You could do whatever the hell you wanted with it, but you know, for the sake of expediency, I'm just going in for the taste test with some jam, and wow, it is so good. The bread is so good. It is just perfect. That, you know what, the fermentation on the counter for 8-9 hours, it really gives it a awesome taste. And how easy was it to make? Like, no kneading whatsoever, very low effort. You just mix everything together until it makes a shaggy dough, and then you just let it rise and ferment on your countertop for basically all day. Like, you can make this in the morning and it'll be ready to go by dinner time. This was so easy and so tasty. You really got to try making this one at home. I guarantee you'll love it. But let's call it there. I had a lot of fun making this, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Oh, hold on, I gotta give Rose a taste test. Anyways, that's the end of the episode. I hope you liked what you saw. If you did, drop me a comment, like the video, or even subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching Idiot Proof Cooking. Oh, and Meg's getting the last bite. Thanks for watching Idiot Proof Cooking, and we'll see you again soon.